Hey traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Nvidia. I did not trade it this week, but I did track it for friends, and I'm going to go through the technicals to see if we can learn anything from. I have somebody that lost money on it, and I'm just trying to explain. I was debating it with him to see if we can learn anything from however he traded it today. So there were some levels that came as a surprise to many. So it was up 5% or so on almost 6 on a bad day for the market. I say bad because okay, it finished mixed, kind of green, but it came from a hole, and it was a little strange. Plus, Intel was down, so it wasn't like a sector was rallying for, and AMD to be, Nvidia to be up 5-6% almost ahead of earnings. There's something behind it. There are a few things that we don't know. First of all, you have to accept that the market is, let's just say, nicely organized. So not to say rigged. And anything can happen. And let me see here. This is a daily chart, about a year's worth of data. It's clearly at a prior high, which in my opinion is just lunacy. 30 million people are out of work. I don't care how much the government is spending money. Those people are not coming back to work for as long as we have a stimulus, and we're going to have a stimulus for as long as we have people out of work. So it's like chicken or the egg. They said through July, so 3-4 months from the beginning. It's going to be longer, but anyway, it is what it is. I don't two different things. I don't fight the tape based on what I think is right, because that just becomes pretty frustrating. So this is a daily chart. If you know technicals, then you could have seen this coming. There was a tight situation down here, the yellow lines. I'll zoom in. The yellow lines, and I draw them ahead of time, and I say, I don't know which one is going to break, either this or that. And on the upside, you can see I extended the yellow, but I didn't extend the yellow down, because I knew it would find support. Why? Because of this box I drew down here. I was fairly confident that if it falls, I would be a buyer. It didn't fall. So then I would buy the breakout. And then where do you exit? This would be my exit point first. And then it went to exactly my yellow top. Look at this. Exactly. And then failed. So then on the way up, and look at where it failed, by the way. It failed to the neckline. So remember this concept. It's going to repeat. This is a daily chart. I'm not making this shit up. I'm sorry. So it fell back to the neckline. And just remember that concept, okay? Because it's going to play into even the 5-minute chart. And okay, so then it got back to the failure point, and then they broke through it. I drew the upside potential of that. It kind of went walkie. It fell one last time, fake out here, but then they did it here. So I guess I should have moved this over here, but I didn't. But it got to my target, and then it failed. And then this candle on Friday. What is that all about? And this is the point of this video. So there's a story there. I looked at the options. There's a mess of contracts that happened that went into the money on the call side. I'm not going to say they bought them, because they bought them and sold them. They're not immaculate sales on TV. And you see here that on TV, they're buying the 46. They make the judgment that the person buying is more desperate than the person selling. To me, I don't know the buyer. I don't know the seller. I don't know who's smarter than the other. I don't know why they're selling. I don't know why they're buying. So I don't make the judgment. But something clearly happened, and let's see it up close. 15 minutes, maybe? Okay, so 5 minutes? Yeah. So you can see that there is a burst. Let's go to 15. It's less information. All right. I'll zoom in on today. So it opened, it faded, it hit a nice trend line, caught a break, and then fought with this level. Why? Look left. Not a coincidence. Faded. They just needed to normal. People will panic out. Oh my gosh, no. They revisited the neckline right there. Same concept. They faded, they came back, and boom. They hesitated right here. Why? They came above it, tested it one last time with this candle right there on 325, that's 325, and then they burst. Hesitated right here a little bit, and then these are the funky candles right here. This burst of buying into the close out of nowhere, pretty strange. Microsoft had a weird candle as well that was $3 out of price. That doesn't happen often. And yesterday it had one that was $9 out of price the wrong way. So something is going on with Microsoft as well. So I say this is a well-organized machine. So if somebody was playing the options on the last minute, the market makers just took you to the cleaners. And like if somebody shorted it late and trying to squeeze it at the last minute, that's why I never trade the options, like short selling options or anything like that, with like minutes to go. I am at a disadvantage. You're sitting duck, especially if it's, a big position. If you're throwing 100 contracts down to short something or go long something, you're going to get squeezed. You're going to need a diaper because they're going to scare the poop out of you. And so I don't do it. There are easier way it's quick buck, I know, if it works, but if it doesn't work, it's a disaster. So here it is, $9 out of nowhere. Literally, what is this, 15 minutes? So 3 times 15, $9. And you know that somebody said, oh, they're going to fail. And then, nope, it's open air. There's nothing here. I say look left. There's nothing to look left to. It's open air. So they burst. Arguably, you can say, okay, this was a inverse head and shoulders, a large bull, cup, and handle, and this will be the upside target. That is totally valid. So let me pull up my notes from earlier with said gentleman. NVIDIA on a different platform, on a 5-minute chart, I can show you these same levels from a different platform. So you got one failure, we talked about it. It was resistance, then it becomes support. Second level was resistance, then it became support, a base. Third level, and then this mess of things over here. So it is tricky. The point is, don't fight the tape and just avoid mistakes. And when if I'm playing the last minute squeeze on a trade, I'm just asking for trouble. So this could be this and this, or the bottom line is there was a neckline. That's why I like to call them, I actually call this a dead ladybug. And then what happens if they get out of the belly? It grows legs. That's what it is. And how big? About this much. So this, about here, eyeball perfect target. I know there are technicians out there just throwing up right now watching this and go, what God, what a moron. Hey, it works for me 100% of the time. So, well, it's very reliable. I make a joke with the ladybug and the dead ladybug. By the way, the ladybug is bearish, the dead ladybug isn't, because the ladybug would look something like this, and it would be an inverse cup and handle, or a head and shoulders if that had happened, but it didn't. So, should it fall? It could. I mean, if I was here long and I got to here and it's going into earnings, there's no way I would stay long. Zero chance I would stay long. Why? Because the earnings reaction overnight is just a coin flip. What the hell they're going to say that is going to just add more enthusiasm? Something weird is going on. I think they report on the 21st. So we'll find out Monday what they want to do with it. What did AMD? To me, AMD is the chip champ. So therein lies, okay, so, all right, trade idea, all right. The earnings report is a coin flip, is what I say. As far as the short-term reaction, I know you can do homework. Let's get those lines out of there. I know you can do homework and make your calls a little bit better. But the Monday morning, the CEO couldn't tell you which way it's going to go. So here's the thing. So this is AMD. By the way, AMD is the best stock in the whole S&P 2 years back to back. 2018, 2019. 2018, it was up 50% when the market was down in the toilet, crashing into Christmas. The stock closed 50% up on the year. Last year it was top notch. This year, I don't know yet, but that's champ 2 years in a row. So for me, it's the champion. If it's not rallying, there's something wrong. That's first of all. So that's cause for concern for NVIDIA. The fact that AMD is not rallying. Intel was down even more, I think, but it's not a good stock performance stock, not the good stock to buy or anything. Please don't hate me. So this one looks like it could want to go to here. So would you rather, as they say on CNBC, I would rather be long AMD into the NVIDIA. If I want to buy calls in NVIDIA right now, or if I have profits in NVIDIA, I would book them and roll. If I want to stay long NVIDIA, I would book them and roll into AMD, because it is, if NVIDIA spikes, AMD is going to spike with it. they almost always trade side by side and on headlines. So unless they say we killed AMD and the AMD is not going to do any better because of what we're announcing here, there's that chance, of course. But generally speaking, when one guy in a sector rallies, the whole sector moves in that same direction. Same with the banks. So if I buy calls in AMD for, say, June, and Nvidia rallies, I make money. If I buy calls in AMD in June and Nvidia falls, I lose a little bit of money because AMD is going to fall a little bit, but not as much as Nvidia. Besides, there was no implied volatility for an earnings report, so I didn't overpay for my AMD. Now, if you do the same for Nvidia calls, they disappear the next day. If you don't get it right or you don't get the measurement right of the move, boom, all the money's gone. So maybe even the SMH or the XLK, I don't know which one actually. I think the SMH represents these guys better, but double check that. So an indirect play on the earnings. But if I'm long Nvidia, any stock that looks like this, into earnings in this environment, when the VIX is almost 3 times as high as it should be, and I don't book some profits or lock in some profits by buying some puts or something, or put spreads, I must have inside information. That's all I have to say. Or really strong conviction on some harmonic pattern that actually has, a PRZ or whatever they call it, way up there. So that's possible. But I'm a levels guy, and I've got no levels up here, and I've got a shit ton of profits. I'm out. That's my logic. All right, next signing out.